Hi there, I'm Sue Hawks. I am excited to introduce you to the world of journaling. What I spend my time doing every day is helping leaders, managers, entrepreneurs, and business owners who are committed to excellence for themselves and the people they work with, which benefits their organizations and the people they serve. We gracefully work through the tough stuff, having hard conversations at times, helping people again and solving problems to deliver results with no waste of time, energy, or money. As a result of that, one of the practices I've come to both need as a leader and found that has made some of the best leaders who they are is journaling. Now, when I say that, it's like yeah, duh, everybody has heard of it, but are you doing it? Henry Ford said, thinking's the hardest work you'll ever do. It's why so few people do it. And truthfully, it's one of those practices that many of us don't make time for because it doesn't feel productive. The other thing is some of us, myself included, at times have been really uncomfortable with the thoughts we're having. So there's all kinds of reasons that we put in the way, excuses, justifications, explanations, all kinds of things we say to get in the way of doing it. So why do it? What does it do for people? Why do so many leaders rely upon this and tell you this is the thing you should do? Well, I can tell you from my own experience, I believe so strongly in journaling that whether you read Buddhist teachings or any great leadership books, you'll find your answer in there. They'll say you need space to think and space to write. They all tell you this. So it's a space to clear your head, to gain clarity, to focus. Because why? Because too many of us are doing too many things all the time, and the noise in your head gets louder than the thinking when you can be quiet. So even in EOS, I'm an expert EOS implementer. We talk about that as clarity breaks, really truly making the space so that you can be creative and meet today's problems way more effectively. So why do leaders do it? We have to create the space in order to have the space to create. When you're too full here, when we're over busy, over committed, overworked, overdone, you have to clear your head. Where's a safe place to do it? In your journal. It's a great way for leaders or anyone else to gain perspective. And it also allows you to see what you're saying. Have you ever thought of that phrase? We all refer to it that way, but it makes no sense. Journaling builds the muscle so you can see your own thinking and then go back and reflect upon them. You can also recognize patterns and trends so that you can know when you've been down this path before and you might have forgotten or talked yourself out of it. Once you do that, you can make some choices and take greater action so that you can become more effective for a sustainable period of time. Journaling allows you to see your own thinking. As I said, it's on paper in front of you. And sometimes you just don't know how you feel till you're forced to really put it in words and look at it. And it creates a no judgment zone. You cannot edit yourself while you're journaling. It's hard because you want to kind of retract some of the thinking because you're already editing yourself before you start. But when you really let it flow, as I like to tell people, garbage out, you can give yourself permission to just see your emotions, see your thinking, and also observe what might need to change to be more effective for what you really want. Those patterns and trends that you see often are great reminders. I can tell you, I've revised my own history and I will dull the feelings about how significant something was or how often it's happening because I'm too clever at times trying to maybe make a Pollyanna version or better than it was or a worse than it was. And until I look back and see repeated kinds of thoughts and stories that I'm telling, I don't have any leverage with myself because I'm only listening for it from other people, which isn't always my best answer. So seeing your own thoughts on the page reminds you of who you are and what you're thinking and what motivates you to take action. It also allows you to capture real-time thoughts. Journaling can let you empty some of those times where you just get too much in there. Do you do that? I know I do. I get so busy at times that I'll be looking around going, I don't have any more space to make a decision. I'll come home and tell my husband, Kevin, I'm out today. You make the decisions for dinner or anything else. I can't think of anything else. And that's one of those triggers that tells me this is a time I should write. I should get some of this out so I can make some space, because truly it's like I'm full up to here. There's no more room for anything else. And when I release those thoughts and feelings in that safe space, suddenly I have more space, more peace, more calm, and I get ready to take effective action so I can do so with a much cooler head or a much, more peaceful demeanor. So I can tell you, in my late 30s, my life came to a screeching halt. If you would have seen me on the outside, you would have seen I had 2 thriving businesses, what looked like a very happy family, my 2.5 kids in the suburbs with a nice house. It looked great on paper. Within a few short years, all of that changed. Along with the economy, my businesses started to spiral down. The economy crashed, and so did they. I looked up, my house was in foreclosure, unbeknownst to me. My marriage was falling apart and headed toward divorce. And on top of that, within a very short period of time, my mom, my brother, and then my dad all passed away. It was deep. It was dark. It was painful. I felt intensely alone. And yet my bravado, my pride, wouldn't let me let others know that. But my journal provided a really safe space, because at that time I didn't see a lot of great things. So I started a gratitude journal, and literally it's where it began for me. I had journaled before that, but it came in fits and starts. This was where I started going, I need to come up with 10 to 12 things every single day that were great. And I'll tell you, as my mom was advancing in Alzheimer's, sometimes it was just, well, she's still with me and she still recognizes me. And that could fill my heart, because otherwise I lived in the reality of what she used to be. So I got some perspective on paper to go, hey, I don't have to wipe away how hard this is, but I have a safe place to put it so that I can see that there's good right now if I let that be true. So when I would look up and say, hey, it's 70 and sunny today, that might have been my best news of the day, but enough of those days started to help me move forward in a way that changed my perspective and let me move through those deep, dark days. And if you were to ask me today, I could rattle off 200 things comparatively that I'm so grateful for, because the circumstances and conditions of my life have changed, largely because I could take different actions and move through some pretty difficult days given my situation. So I know you're probably listening to this and go, yeah, there might be some merit to all of this, but there's objections. Trust me, I know a lot of you have these roadblocks. I share them. I know you've said things like, if you're like me anyway, what would I ever write about? I don't have that many thoughts. Have you ever thought of or told yourself, I don't know where to begin? I could literally write about anything now. Where in the heck do I start? I mean, how is that helpful just to write? If you've said things like, I don't know how I'd benefit, I gave you a few reasons how it helped me, but what might that be? How is writing about you, your feelings, the stress of work and life going to help you as a person at work or at home? There's no time. I'm so busy. How do I add one more thing that's supposed to help me with all the other things? That was my default position. I'll tell you, I have a to-do list a mile long all the time. And finding the time to journal, especially when my mind said it wasn't productive, I totally feel you. If you said things like, I suck at writing, for real, like I don't want anyone to see that. I'm the last person that I would want others seeing what I wrote. It's a really sad reality, but I don't want that to happen. And if you've ever had, based on experience, or otherwise, the fear that someone might find it and read it. Some of us have had that happen. And if you write about something really personal and really private and someone discovers it, then what? If any of these things have plagued you, please know I share your pain. And we came up with the solution for this. I created a journal, as we all know I'm talking about, the Maximizing Success Journal. It's 2 volumes. And I really made it as a journal for people who don't journal, because I started saying, this isn't easy. Getting started is one of the hardest things. And all the objections I've just talked about, I wanted to offer guidance to make it easier so you could start and that you didn't have to have an answer. And on the days when you know everything you want to write, ignore the questions. But on the days you don't know where to begin, I've got some questions for you. They're all in here. Then on the safety end, I want you to be able to get your thoughts and feelings down and not be overwhelmed anymore day to day, or not sure where to begin or how to begin. So I thought, how can we make this even easier for those who may not want a physical book to sit and write in? We created a 365-day digital roadmap journaling program to provide a question a day and a video every week from me, so you don't have to do it alone. There are even weekly preview and review questions. They're some of my favorite things. I'll show you what they look like in the book. Online, they're much more beautiful, but it lets you prepare for the week ahead right after you've reflected on what worked and didn't from the week you just went through. The time commitment, what do you do about that? Well, I will tell you where I began. You got to lower the bar. And what I did was say 5 to 10 minutes a day. If I don't have 5 to 10 minutes a day for me, then what am I doing anyway? So lower that bar right down. If you write a few sentences, that's a few sentences more than you wrote another day. And if you think about it like a bank account with compound interest, you know, those few sentences start to grow over time, and you're building the muscle of, I can do this every day. I have a woman who purchased the journal, and in the last year, she's wanted to quit smoking for most of her life. She said over the time that she was journaling, she consistently reviewed what was she thinking before and after she smoked, what was the cost, what was the impact to her health, what happened around people when she was doing this, what was the impact on her material goods, all the kinds of things that went through her mind, and why she started smoking and where it all began before it was a habit. And she said, by seeing her thoughts on paper, not all the recommendations and all the research you can go find, she had all those down. She found her own motivation to quit smoking for good, and she's still at it. So I know this can work for people. It's not anything new. It's got to be easy enough for you to do it. And that's what we've tried to put together here. I have another woman, I can tell you, she's someone I know really well. And she's someone I talked to at length, and she was in a relationship. It wasn't the best relationship. It wasn't a horrible relationship. But what she found was over the years, she would hear great things from friends. And as she complained about that relationship, she didn't do a lot differently, but she did start keeping the journal. And what she said was one day she decided to review the journal, which is something I do and I encourage others to do, is when you're stuck and you don't know what to read, look back at what you've written. And all of a sudden things jumped off the page because she said, oh my God, I had written the exact same thing the year prior in the exact same month and the year before that. So it wasn't someone else's words telling her what to do. It was her own. And she finally gained the perspective that had her make a choice to change and end that relationship because it wasn't good for her. Without her own wisdom, without her own perspective on herself, because she couldn't revise her thinking, she could see it on paper, she took different actions. I know those are two pretty dramatic examples, and I told you about my own experience. This can happen for you too, but it doesn't happen immediately. It happens suddenly, eventually. So it takes the practice of doing it to then appreciate what happens. I'll tell you, journaling is something I practice 5 days a week, every day of my life. I have crested over 1,000 blogs writing every day, and I put that out publicly so that I would have the pressure and the public notoriety, because I knew I wouldn't fail if I was, being witnessed. When I did it just for me, that was when I would quit. And I didn't have someone like me who did videos and a question a day. So I want you to tell you, it's gotten me through the hardest times in my life. And it's also made me a better observer of people, of solutions. It helps me grab things, reflect on what I did well, what I did poorly, give me leverage with myself. I've gotten through a divorce, ill parents, a foreclosure, my own challenges with body image, my children, mental illness in our family, and all kinds of other things. So I want you to know that when my world crashed down, and I talked about that earlier, that gratitude journal was absolutely one of the 2 or 3 things that had it change. It moved me out of a really sad state over time. Again, eventually, but suddenly. As leaders and individuals, we need to clear our heads and spend time to get clarity. I created this digital journal for people who don't journal. That might be you. It provides you guidance to start and stay committed wherever you are right now to journaling. And you don't have to do it alone, but you can do it privately at home, online, or if you like it old school, we've got these as well. For a minimal investment of time, energy, and money every day, you can start a path to a different future, the one you design. It provides that question every day, a video every single week from me, and those preview review questions. And whether you use it partially or fully, I promise you the results are on the other side, and you are the one who can get there. Because leaders are constantly faced with solving problems and helping people, you have to have space to examine your thinking in order to keep being creative, resilient, and successful over time. In just 5 to 10 minutes every day, you can build that muscle. This is my passionate plea for you to begin today. Don't wait another minute. Take the plunge toward intentional greatness as a leader in your business and in your life. We even have a bonus if you act now. The digital journal roadmap bundle comes with no BS self-care hacks, which were sourced from many leaders I know, ways to shortcut all kinds of things. They made it as a birthday gift to me, and we add to it all the time. And that's an ebook. And then we've got a 30-day gratitude challenge, which again goes along seasonally with the holiday time of year, or if you're really looking to amp up your mood, be more grateful and appreciative for what you do have, and really jumpstart all of this. So if nothing else, you have 30 days to really get you going, and then a question every day thereafter. Good luck. I'm on your team for intentional greatness. Start now. It's never going to get easier.